All right, we're live, and it's Wednesday's Real Talk on Real Estate. Jerome Maldonado, and I want to share with you guys today in this crazy market of inflation, high interest rates, what the difference is between building a single home and building a duplex. And one of the big things today is explaining to you guys how to scale. I put together this 5-year business model, and in year number 2, I talk about scaling up to 3 homes and then migrating into doing duplexes, quads, and scaling from there. And one of the big things now is that when big multifamily lending is compromised based on cap rates being so high, running parallel with interest rates, lending being so tight because banks are scared, and values of assets dropping because of interest rates rising and because of cap rates rising, how do you sit back and migrate through this and still make money? And one of the things that we typically do is go through and remind people that there's always viable opportunity. And right now, active income in the residential single marketplace is extremely viable. And so when I say extremely viable in the single family place, it's also viable in the small multifamily space. So for those of you guys getting started, one of the best places to start and understand how to get into multifamilies by doing small stuff like duplexes and quads. And it's called resumeing up, because the banks will only lend you what you have the ability to produce. And what I love about doing a duplex, especially when you're new, is that it gives you the foresight of being able to do multiple units, even if it's so small as 2. And it's palatable for most people because it's tangible, right? Like, it's not so massive that it freaks people out mentally. And so when you go in and you get a construction loan on a single family residential build, it's very palatable because you can go in and do an owner build if you don't have any experience. You can hire a general contractor through one of 3 different ways, either through a cost plus model, you can do a flat fee, or you can do a bid model. Now, you have to understand what you're looking for within those 3 models, but you don't have to have any experience, and you might take a little bit of a shavings off your profitability, but you can still generate 6 figures if you do it correctly. Now, that's in the single family build. So once you go in, you can go in almost with no money, and you can actually tie up a piece of land through the means of owner financing or just a delayed close, especially in a compromised market like this, because land right now, because it's not cash producing, isn't moving as fast as it once was just a year ago. And so because of that, people just want to sell. And so you can educate sellers on owner financing by talking with them and explaining to them that if they sold through the means of owner financing, it'll offset their long-term capital gains taxes. And what's cool about that is that you can go to the bank, get a set of drawings put together just like these ones here. And once you do this, you can go and get institutional money. Now, for those of you guys with bad credit or don't have the ability to have the cash flow to do a bank loan, you can get hard money lending, or you can get private money lending, and you can give up a little bit more of your profit to those folks, but it gives you a barrier of entry. And what I love about a duplex is that you can go in and it's still considered a single family build. And for those of you guys that have the ability to actually live in one of the units temporarily while you sell the second unit, you can do what's called an owner build. It's the same as buying a piece of land and building one single family home, but you can do it in a duplex. Now, where I love duplexes is in inner city areas where there's not a lot of land, and you have to either tear down a house and do something that's a little bit more dense, or you're doing what's called infill, where there's not a lot of land available. There's a lot of infill where there's just single lots spread out throughout the margin of the city. And so if you go to New York City, you go into the surrounding areas of New York City, like the Bronx, or you go into areas like LA, and you go into some of the dense areas like in San Francisco, or you go into some of the dense areas in downtown Atlanta, or just in the corridor of Atlanta, or even in Chicago. And some of these inner city areas, or Virginia. Virginia is like Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland. They're like the condo and they're like the condominium, duplex, quad, and fourplex capital of the world, because everything is built on top of each other and they build up. Everything's 3-story builds, and you can do a 2-story duplex, and you can go in and make profits as lucrative as single family builds if you build under the right business model. Now, we are doing this right now in Kirtland, Washington, because we didn't have enough area to build out 4 single family homes. So in order to pass our grading and drainage, we landed up doing 2 duplexes, still 4 homes, and we're still selling them at the exact same price as we would be selling them if they were single family homes, because they would only sit 5 feet apart, even if they weren't duplexes. And so we're able to go in and get larger density in a smaller area and do these duplexes. Here's what's cool, is that in areas like Washington, D.C., in areas or the Beltway, just outside of that threshold, or areas like Atlanta, or areas like downtown Dallas, or areas like Los Angeles or San Francisco in the Bay Area, Washington State, in all these highly densely populated areas, is that you could go in and, let's say, for example, you're building 2,500 square foot homes. Well, a duplex, typically they're a little smaller. You could build 2 2,500 square foot duplexes, or you could even build 2 1,750 square foot duplexes and build, 3,500 square feet. The amount of work that goes into doing a duplex is the exact same amount of work as what it would take building a 3,000 square foot home, which is the same amount of work as it is to build a 2,000 square foot home, because you still have the bathroom, the kitchen, you still have the countertops, the doors, the roof, the foundation, and everything as is in a single family home. So it isn't like overwhelmingly knowledge specific to go in and do a duplex. But what's cool is that once you do a duplex and you put in 2 kitchens and you put in 4 bathrooms instead of 2 bathrooms, or 5 bathrooms instead of 3 bathrooms, is that you have the ability now to say, well, shit, I did 2, now I can do 4. So in our 5-year business model, I talk to people about going in and scaling in their 2nd or 3rd year to doing maybe like 3 single family homes and then a quad and doing 4 homes. And so people can resume up, and they can do it cognitively, where their mind can actually process the ability to go in and do smaller bits and pieces. Now, in year number 3 or 4, depending how slow and how quick you get this done, you can go in and you can actually do like an 8-plex. Because once you do a duplex, a 4-plex is easy. Once you do a 4-plex, you're sitting back and, well, I did 4, I can just do 2 4-plexes, I can do an 8-plex, that's easy. And so your mind can comprehend that. Now, once you get to an 8-plex, it starts becoming fun, because the revenue, if you decide to keep them instead of selling them and renting them, starts becoming financially lucrative enough for you to sit back and go, wow, I'm generating close to 6 figures a month. You have 8 units at $2,000 a month. Even if 50% of that went to servicing the debt and maintaining them, you still have $8,000 a month in passive income. You're just shy of $100,000 a year in passive income. Great money. Year number 3, guys. Year number 4, you sit back and go, I want to do 10 units. Now you're making 6 figures a year just on the passive income, plus you're making money on the revenue building houses. So I tell people, build some single family homes, utilize it as a tool for revenue, because now your household has a larger single family threshold of revenue to give yourself a better lifestyle. Because if you build 3 homes, and if you're averaging $150,000 net profit, which I think you're going to land up netting closer to about $200,000 on a single family home, if you do it under our business model, FYI, everybody's results are different, and depending on what your sophistication level is in the market is going to depict what your profitability is. And so I tell people, but even if it's like $150,000, FYI, you guys can still make about $450,000 a year off your homes, and now you're making over $100,000 a year in passive income. Now you also have a net worth, because you have a 10-unit or 8-unit apartment complex. And what's also cool about that is if you keep it and hold it and you don't sell it, you can depreciate it through the means of cost segregation. And now, until you get to the revenue amount on your annual taxable income, to the value of that property, then that you're depreciating, you don't have federal taxes legally and legitimately. But I do recommend that you contact your CPA or real estate attorney to make sure that you do it correctly, because there is a specific way to do that. Now, all I'm telling you guys is duplexes and single family homes, piece of cake, do them both. And there's no difference between getting a construction loan between either one of them. What the banks love about a duplex, if you do an owner occupancy in one of the units, is that it's still considered your own single family home. It just so happens that you have an ADU, an additional dwelling unit, that you're leasing out to somebody else. That additional dwelling unit might be the exact same size and a mirror image of the house that you're temporarily living in. And you may land up going out and in renting it, and even renting the one that you are living in over the course of a few months, a year, a couple years, or whatever that might be. And when you do that, you still have the loan because the loan was locked in. And after about 30 days of stabilization, you can migrate out of that property and sell it, lease it. And typically the loans are sold off 2, 3, 4 times to different institutional banks nonetheless. And so they don't even know who you are. You become just a number and a piece of paper after your loan stabilizes and is sold 9 times out of 10. So then you have some options. But typically it's a 2-year requirement for you to live in it. But it's a great threshold of entry to get yourself doing multiple unit construction and also into doing multi-unit leasing. But it really gets fun after you get off over 4. And I really say that the magical number to really make a high value return that makes sense long term is 8 units. So ladies and gentlemen, go out, buy land, build houses. Right now, there's a massive need for housing. It's one of the largest, most sought after industries in the world because there's such a massive need for it. In fact, Washington, D.C., the White House itself, on the White House Forum, their top 3 things in the agenda, it just so happens that housing happens to be one of the top 3. So if you're skeptical right now as to whether single family residential dwellings are profitable and lucrative and a good asset class to invest in, the answer is yes. You have about a decade, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the first times historically that we've had such a shortage of single family residential homes, hence duplexes as well. And there's a massive need. You'd actually be doing and serving your country in a great way by producing housing. So nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, if you find any value in these videos whatsoever, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel and pound that thumbs up button for more content just like this. Thank you guys for joining our Wednesday's Real Talk on Real Estate. I look forward to seeing you guys next week, November 3rd and 4th in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Virgin Hotel for the Build Wealth Summit. We're going to be going over the 5-year business model in depth, and we're going to underwrite and show you guys exactly what that 5-year business model looks like, exactly how you yourself, whether you have 0 experience or lots of experience, can scale to multifamily real estate in large magnitudes in less than 5 years. And you have to think about it like this, ladies and gentlemen. Got to think about it like college, because how many of you know people, if not yourself, that went and spent 4 years in college getting a 4-year degree? Hence, 90% of people that get a 4-year degree don't ever work in the field or industry that their degree is in, and yet spend hundreds of thousands of dollars getting that degree and no monetary return, no long-term return, and no previous return. Where if you give us 5 years in this business model, you can start in year 1 earning while you're learning. And it's not get rich quick. It might take you the entire damn year to get one house up. But if you do and you get it sold, you're going to make a 6-figure profit if you do it correctly, you pay attention, you implement our business model. And we have hundreds of people all over the country that are doing it and thousands of students. Ladies and gentlemen, join us in Las Vegas, Nevada, November 3rd and 4th. And learn this the step-by-step process of this entire 5-year business model. And I'm going to give you resources and tools with the colleagues I'm with. And I'm going to give you a community of hundreds of people that'll be in Las Vegas with us that you can network with. So on days you want to quit, they won't let you, because you have friends and colleagues that are advocating for you. And they'll say, Jesus, Joe, Mary, they'll slap you around a little bit. Get off your depression meds and let's go back and let's get this stuff going. It's time to roll, baby. Time to stop worrying. Time to stop thinking. We're all in this game together. Let's go. And that community builds strength in magnitude. And I'll tell you guys that there's strength in numbers. There's strength in community and there's strength in support. And that's what we're going to bring to you. You might not be able to build a community of hundreds of people like I have, but I'll introduce you to my community. Join us in Las Vegas on November 3rd and 4th next week. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you guys. Go out and compound your success.